You found the circumference of your friend's circular hot tub is 37.7 feet. What is the surface area to the nearest square foot of the hot tub? Reading through the problem the first time, I recognize we're dealing with a circular hot tub, which in turn tells me we're dealing with a circle. Reading through the problem a second time, I recognize the question is about the surface area. The surface area of the hot tub is the area of the top of the water. So since we're dealing with the area, and we're dealing with a circle, I know we're going to be working with this formula, A equals pi r squared. To be able to answer this question, what is the surface area, I need to know what the radius of the circle is. The problem is, earlier in the problem, it did not tell me the radius of the circle. It told me the circumference. I will need to use that circumference to calculate the radius, and then I will use that radius to calculate the surface area. So this will end up being a two-step problem. My first step will be to calculate the radius of the circle. I will still approach this as a formal word problem. Since I am trying to figure out what the value of r is, I will let r represent the hot tub's radius in feet. Knowing that we're working with the circumference of a circle, and the formula for the circumference is that the circumference is 2 pi r, I can substitute 37.7 in for the circumference. In doing so, the only variable left in this particular equation is the r. To solve the equation 37.7 equals 2 pi r, I need to eliminate the coefficient on the variable. Since r is being multiplied by 2 pi, I will divide both sides of the equation by 2 pi. At this point, I will simply state that r is equal to 37.7 over 2 pi. Normally, upon solving an equation, when I'm solving a word problem, I would tend to write a conclusion at this point. But I recognize that this answer, the value of the radius, is not the answer to the question we're trying to answer. The ultimate question is, what is the surface area of this circle? So this was a step that we needed to complete in order to calculate the area, but is not actually the answer to the question. Additionally, I'm not inclined to approximate this value, as I don't want to lose any accuracy in any of my values. So for now, I will leave the radius as 37.7 divided by 2 pi. I will now move on to the second part of this problem, which is ultimately the question we're trying to answer. What is the surface area of this hot tub? So as we begin the second part of the process, I recognize we're answering a new question, different from the one that we just answered, and therefore I'm going to need a variable to represent the answer to that question. Let A represent the surface area of the hot tub in square feet. We already have above the area's formula, A equals pi r squared. So to answer this question, I need to find the area, and so I will need to substitute the radius that we just found in for the radius in this formula. So the area will become pi times the radius, which is 37.7 divided by 2 pi squared. I could do this calculation by hand, but again, this is one I would prefer to let the calculator handle. To do this calculation, I need to type in pi. On this particular calculator, I can actually type the letters pi, and it will give me the value pi. So I need pi times, in parentheses, 37.7 divided by 2 times pi. We need to go outside the parentheses and square the parentheses. And I can see to the nearest square foot, the calculator is telling me the surface area will be about 113 square feet. When I write this down, I'm going to be very careful, because we did just round a value, to write that A is approximately equal to 113. As a final step, I'm going to make sure I answer the question in a complete sentence. There are two ways I could answer this final question. What is the surface area to the nearest square foot of the hot tub? One option is to write this. The surface area is about 113 square feet. Again, the word about capturing the fact that we did an approximation. A second option in answering this question would be to write this. To the nearest square foot, the surface area is 113 square feet. Again, by saying to the nearest square foot, I'm reiterating the fact that I'm giving you an approximate answer.